Welcome to SnapLenz Visual Design Education, your go-to partners for mastering Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom. We're unlocking creative editing solutions and diving deep into the world of photography. I'm Ty Schwartz, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey. Together, we'll explore the latest techniques, tips, and tricks to elevate your visual storytelling to the next level. From mastering the basics to pushing the boundaries of your creativity, SnapLenz Visual Design Education is here to empower you with the knowledge and skills you need to unleash your artistic potential. So grab your favorite beverage, fire up your editing software, and join us as we embark on this exciting journey together. Let's turn our visions into masterpieces, one click at a time. All right, everybody. I am Ty Schwartz with SnapLenz, and we are here today to talk about the difference between using a MacBook Pro, a MacBook Air, and a PC. The first part here, we're just going to talk a little bit about what's the difference between the three, what are we looking for, and the big thing is, what's the performance you're looking for, what's the portability, how are we going to look at our display quality, and also what's our budget. I would love to say that my budget for every new PC is $5,000 to $10,000, but the reality is I don't want to spend that kind of money every time I need to buy a new computer. So we're going to break down the differences and considerations for each one. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the MacBook Pro. Of course, anybody who does visual design understands that, in my opinion, and it is my opinion, that MacBook Pros seem to offer some of the better performance. If you're using it for visual design, video editing, Macs just are far superior machines. I have less issues with those Macs than I do with PC. But the reality is, you're working in an industry that it all depends on budget. Some companies are going to go ahead and get you a PC. Other companies are going to understand and get you Macs. It also depends on their IT support. So it's highly advisable that you become bilingual and understand both Macs and PCs. But let's talk about the MacBook Pro. Now, that's what I'm using here at home. When I do go to work, it's PCs. So there's going to be some definitely difference in quality and price. So this first part of the video, we're just going to kind of talk and wrap about what's the difference in each of the computers. And then I'm going to jump on some websites and kind of build out a computer and give you an idea what I think is an ideal setup for using it for visual design. And I'm going to give you the choice between a MacBook Pro and also a MacBook Air and I don't know. I think today I'll do a HP. I seem to have better results with an HP lately than the other PC brands. So let's talk about MacBook Pro. So with the performance on a MacBook Pro, the models generally offer more powerful processors, graphic cards, and higher RAM configurations compared to a MacBook Air. And it is. It really is about the performance, because if I'm doing Photoshop and I'm doing multiple layers and I'm on a laptop, I definitely want to be able to do a lot of different things, save it, and not have that spinning little thing. So that means that when you look at your MacBook Pro, you want to say, what kind of task are we going to do? Am I going to be able to doing video and photos at the same time? Sometimes I'm editing some videos and I'm creating stuff in Photoshop so I can bring it into the video. And I like to have a powerful processor. But if I'm a beginning photographer, I don't need all of that powerful processing speed. So it really, like I said, it depends on where you're at on your journey as a photographer, but also a budget. Somebody who's been around a little bit longer might have a different budget. Of course, if I had parents that would love to buy me computers on a regular basis, I might be able to get them to get me the best computer I can possibly get. So I want to be able to have something that's good at high resolution photos, high resolution videos, and I want it to be able to run Photoshop or Premiere Pro or After Effects or Illustrator, InDesign, whatever one, very smoothly. I don't want to have it hanging up. I don't want to have it freezing. I don't want to have it crashing. But the other thing I like about the MacBook Pro is the display. They have the Retina display, which offers amazing color accuracy, and it's high resolution, so it makes it ideal for photo editing, where I'm really looking at that color. So sometimes I'm really critical about the color. Other times, if I'm working in black and white, I'm really looking at those shadow and midtone areas. So I want to have something that's nice and clear and I can see it. So, but also portability. Now, the new MacBook Pro that I just purchased, it's a 13-inch, and it's not as big as. I mean, I used to think, oh, I got to get a 15, I got to get a 17, but this 13-inch, it's light, it's easy, and it's I can put it in a photo bag, I can put it in a carry-on bag on a plane. So there's a lot of portability that I can do with the MacBook Pro. So I get in a lot of power and the portability. And now it is a little bit heavier and bulkier than a Mac Air, but the performance trade-off is worth it. For many, in my opinion, for professional photography, I rather carry around an extra pound, because that pound sometimes is the difference between computing something very quickly, or just kind of going slim on those heavy calculations. But also, I can prioritize, how much power do I need to use to run a processor? Um, and so that's really important. Now, the bad thing about MacBook Pros is the cost. And to me, if you're getting into the MacBook Pro, you are looking at spending a lot of money. It's not like a PC, but at the same time, if you configure it correctly, you're going to be able to use this longer than you will for a PC. So in my experience, if I have a PC and I spend maybe $1,200-$1,500 on a PC, I'm going to be able to use that for maybe 2 years before it's really out to date and it's overloaded. When I have a MacBook, I'm looking at using it 4 to 6 years. So I'm building it out. So with that longevity, so if I'm able to spend, $2,000-$3,000 on a MacBook Pro and get that out to 5 to 6 years, then the return on investment has greatly improved. Now let's talk about the MacBook Air. Now I've worked on a couple of MacBook Airs, and I'm not totally against them. If I'm doing something really simple, like I'm doing headshots and I'm trying to get things done fast, and I'm not doing a lot of edits, MacBook Airs work great. But they're incredibly lightweight, so I can carry a MacBook Air a lot easier. They're slim. They make everything easy. But it's also a great choice for photographers who just need to edit one or two things, and they're traveling a lot. And so that's when it gets into portability, it's a lot better with portability. So while the MacBook Air have improved over the years, they're not as powerful as MacBook Pro model. And so sometimes if you get into really intensive editing, if you're doing layering and a lot of compositing or working large PSD files, then you're going to have a little bit of issues with the hanging, overheating, or just general performance issues. So also the display, I mean, they still come with the Retina display, and you get really good colors out of it. They're not as perfect, or not as perfect. They're not as clean as a MacBook Pro, but they are still good. But they're just not as high end. And also the price of the MacBook Air is right there, are a lot less and more affordable compared to the Pro models. Now, and that's just as we're looking. So we're looking at the Pros up here. We're looking at the Air here, and then now we're going to look at the PCs. So PCs, there's a wide range, because you have gaming PCs, you have just regular desktop, laptop PCs that just do regular work, and then you can configure it for photography. So they do offer a lot of options when it comes to PCs. So you can customize their setup based on specific needs and budget constraints. So you can also choose from various manufacturers, processors, graphic cards. So when it comes to PCs, you have a lot more opportunities to make different choices, and they're easier for just making those choices. You can add different video cards, you can add different storage, and then with the Mac is pretty much you design it on an Apple website, and that's what you're going to get. And there's no upgrading, there's no changing. it's pretty much set. But with a high-end PC, you can get comparable, if not better performance than a MacBook Pro. But you're also going to have to go into investing a lot more money, or and the thing I caution on PCs is you're going to invest a lot of money, and you're not going to get the same longevity as you would with a Mac. PCs come with a variety of display options ranging from standard high def to high resolution IPS panels that also have excellent color accuracy. But you have to also, you have more flexibility in choosing a display. Mac tends to come out with good displays, and you're not buying extra high-end displays, because a color-corrected monitor can start at $1,200 and go up to $8,000-$9,000. So those are things that you have to consider with your budget. While there are also portable PC options, they may not be as lightweight or compact as a MacBook Air. So with every single model, there's always going to be a trade-off. Do we buy the high end? Do we buy the mid end? Do we buy the low end? But there's also some very basic things that you have to consider. So for me, any type of photo computer that I'm going to go into, I want to make sure that I have a multi-core processor. So I want to have a quad core or higher. And I want to have a high clock speed for faster processing tasks. So it's going to allow me to do more things, do more complex things if I need it. If I'm doing anything photo, I know Adobe says, oh, you only need 8 gigs RAM to work Photoshop. But trust me, unless you have 16 gigs or higher, you're going to have issue. Now, I because I've done photography enough and long enough to know that, I really do look at that 32 gig at a minimum, just because that gives me that extra computing power. And also because I do video, it does allow me to push back and forth without too many things. But also you want to have a dedicated graphics card, and you have to have sufficient video RAM and that's beneficial for the GPU because you're using accelerated task in Photoshop. So you're applying filters or working with 3D content. You're doing smart layers, so it's going to take a little bit of extra computing. So you want to make sure that you have a graphics card that's dedicated just for that information. But for me also, when I'm looking at a new PC, I actually look at the SSDs over an HDD. Because what happens is they write faster, and they have faster application loading times. There's only so fast. Hard drives can only go so fast. With an SSD, you're not having any spinning parts, so you can go a lot faster with that SSD. And also, the high resolution display. So you're looking at what kind of color am I going to get? How accurate is that color? If I'm looking at something on my laptop and I send it to a color lab, am I going to get those colors? And that's really important as a photographer, because if I'm picking a certain color and I'm pushing out something for a production for a print, it better be spot on, and what I'm seeing on the monitor and what I'm printing out are the same thing. So I'm double checking my CMYKs to numbers to make sure that those things are working also. But also, we're going to calibrate our monitors. So we're going to use some type of calibration to make sure that our monitors are staying, because the longer you use a monitor, it does change on the quality of what you're seeing. But also something else is the quality of mouse and graphics tablets. Is it going to allow you to add things so you can have more precise editing? I think all of them do. I'm not going to worry about the input devices as much. But also the operating system. While Photoshop is available in both Mac and Windows, you want to be able to choose the one that you're most comfortable with. So I originally started out with PCs and understanding PCs and tearing apart PCs and building them from scratch, because that's what I think you did in the mid 90s is, I'm going to learn how to do computers. I'm going to build them. But as I've progressed, I've realized I kind of know what I want in a PC, and it's just so much easier to let a company build it, buy a warranty, and if something happens to it, send it off and let the warranty take effect. I've discovered that when I'm building things, as much as I love to build things, the PC itself has a tendency to not work as well. So I might think I'm a great computer guy, but I'm not building my own. So ultimately, when it comes to the ideal computer setup for Photoshop, it's going to be depending on your specific needs. You want to look at your budget and you're going to look at your preferences. So whether you choose a MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, or PC, you want to make sure that the hardware specifications meet the demands of your photo editing workflow. And so I'm going to pause the video real quick and I'm going to flip over to the screen. And let's go ahead and build some computers and let's see what the costs are and let's talk about the plus and minuses of that. Okay? So hold on one second. All right, so I have set up here. What I did is I have 3 windows set up. So I have one set up for MacBook Pro. I have one set up for the MacBook Air, and then I have one set up for the HP. I could look at Dell, but right now the things I've seen from HP seems to be a lot more stable than what I've seen in the past from Dell. So let's take a look at MacBook Pros. We're at the Apple website, apple.com, MacBook Pro. And now, of course, anytime you say, hey, let's buy a MacBook Pro, I always look for discounts. Since I'm retired Navy, I definitely try to find every single discount I can possibly get. I'm also a school teacher, so I look for those discounts best way. So the new computer I just purchased, actually, I can bring that up here. So about this Mac. So let's hit this Mac here. You're going to be able to see here. So I'm running an Apple M3 Max, 128 gigabyte RAM. And if we hit more information, did it come up? There we go. So we're looking at Mac OS Sonoma version 1.14.4. We have a built-in Liquid Retina XDR display. I also have 2 external displays. They're only 24 inches. I don't need a lot, and I have them lifted up above to make them easier for me to see. Right now, just setting up on storage, I only have, what is that, a terabyte internal storage, but I also have 2 4 terabyte external storage set up to it. So I built this, and I got this in January. So it's a 14-inch, and it was built out for me specifically for coming up with ideas for what I'm going to do. So that's what I use to keep my Mac clean. Is I do use a Clean My Mac, which gets rid of stuff because I do tend to have a lot of stuff on the hard drive. And let's bring that back up. There we go. So we're going to get rid of that. Okay, so let's talk about MacBook Pros. Right now, it's starting at $1599. So if this is not in your price point, the first thing you say, you know what, it's not in my price point. My first recommendation is never, ever, ever take out a loan on anything that you're going to be using for work, especially if you're a small business and you're not generating huge amounts of money right away. Because like if I as my business, I have an LLC. What I'll do is I'll lease something and then I will use that as a write-off as much as I can over the time. Sometimes it's easier just to buy something outright, but you always want to look and talk to your accountant to identify what's best for you. But if $1599 is not in your budget, then the first thing you need to do is just fast forward it straight to the MacBook Air, and let's look at, because $1599 is a suggested starting price, and I'm going to build out. Choose your MacBook Pro, a 14-inch. Okay, now you don't need every single thing. Like I have a Max 3, so I just hit a Max 3 starting out. It's $3,100 now. That is a little bit insane. And actually, I'll click here so you guys can kind of see real quick what I did with mine. So I ended up with, I left it at 14 core. And then, nope, I did. I added that. So I have a 16 core, and then I have a 128 gig. So there we go. There's about the price of what we're looking at, $4,699 for the laptop that I just purchased and put together. I don't buy these. I use Premiere Pro. So less, this is a price range you're willing to go into. But again, I purchased this particular one because I wanted to have a PC that was going to last between 6 and 7 years. And for me, if I manage everything correctly, it'll do that. Now, with the 14-inch, 11 core, 14 core, 18 gigabyte unified memory, that is more than enough to get going on your Mac journey. So you can also get the M3, and this is what we're looking at. So 8 terabyte, too small, too small. 16 will just get you started, but look at that. It's $19.99. So let's go back over here to the Mac Pro and see what we have here. So 11 core, 14 core, 500 gigabyte, 18 gigabyte unified, same price. So let's take a look. It's a little bit faster, and the Pro goes a little bit better. So we're going to customize it here. So we already know that we need a minimum of 16 gigabyte. So the storage is not exactly what I'm happy with. And the reason I say that, the onboard storage, if you're doing a lot of stuff and you're using heavy programs, that could get filled up really quick. So again, this is price dependent. So I wouldn't, for the average person, I wouldn't change out this. What I would look at is, I have 18 gigabytes. That's more than enough to run Photoshop. Do I need to go to 36? I would like to have 32, but that puts me in the $23.99. And if I went up to a terabyte, and these are the basic, and I would definitely change that to 96 watt USB-C. So that is how I would set up this Mac, and I think this is a reasonable price. Let me go here. So customize your Mac. We're looking at 36 gigabyte unified memory and 1 terabyte SSD storage, 14-inch liquid Retina XDR display, 96 watt USB-C power adapter, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, HDMI port, SDXC card slot, headphone jack, MagSafe port. So that is a nice setup. You have 3 of the Thunderbolt ports that you can use, and also you have that backlit Magic Keyboard with a Touch ID. Now, on top of that, I would add accessories like the Magic Mouse. I'd buy an external keyboard. So I have, you can see here, I have another keyboard here that I have. I think I've had this for the last 5 Macs or 4 Macs I've had, and then I buy the Magic Mouse. So those are so easy. And usually when I travel, if I'm doing something, I know it's going to be heavy in computing, I will take that keyboard. It's not that much weight, but I almost always take the Magic Mouse. I don't like touch screens, and I don't really like the touch pads. And it's just a personal preference. So let's take a look here. I'm going to leave this here. So this is $26.19. So if you have an Apple Card and you use the Apple Card, definitely take that 3% daily cash. You can save some money with that. And look at that. So April 4th, April 9th. So it's going to be a little bit of time. We're going to be able to pick it up at Lynn Haven Mall. So let's move over here to our MacBook Air. And we're going to set up almost the same parameters, okay? So let's see, we can hit compare, and we can look at different models here. So that's a 13-inch, and a 15-inch. Now with the MacBook Air, so the 15-inch is starting at $12, and then you have the 13-inch starting at $9.99, and then you have the M3 also starting at $10.99. So this is a little bit more powerful than the M2. So this is everything that you can get right now with the MacBook Airs. I would almost look at a 15-inch MacBook Air because it's going to give you a little bit more room. It's going to allow you to have a little bit of things. But again, do we need the 15-inch? Is it 2 inches? And for $200 extra to get 200, so it's $100 an inch. So we can take a look at that. And then you get to pick your colors. And then let's go ahead and hit buy. So let's see. So 15, I'm just looking at the difference. So we have 8 core, we have 10 core, so up to 24 gigabytes. So even with the MacBook Air, we're not going to be able to get to 32. but we can also have a little bit more storage than what we have, and 18 hours has a touched ID. So so if I know that I'm going to max out at 24 gigabyte, I'm going to go back here to the 13.6. I don't need M3 extra 2, so that's going to be more money than I need to spend. So we're going to look here. So we're at $1,000 right now, and we're looking at our SSD, and let's see what our difference is here. So we have a 16 core, 13.6, MagSafe 333. This is a 35 watt, and I'm not seeing anything else. Magic keyboard, trade in. Okay, so we're gonna hit this middle one right here, and let's see what else we can do. A customize. So let's do. So we're gonna have to go up to at our customize, so we get maxed out on 24. Even though it says 16's preferable, like I said, I like to have 32, and then we're gonna do that 1 terabyte. So now we're at $18.99. Power adapter, I would try to give it a little bit more power than needed, and I don't need anything else. So I'm at $18.99 for a MacBook Air, and we'll go back here, and it is 26 here. So we're looking at $800 difference between the two. With the MacBook Pro, you are getting a lot of computing power. For $2,600, and then for $1,800, you're getting some good computing power, and you're getting a decent size SSD, and also you're getting a decent size memory. So this MacBook Air, I think, would work fine for simple, easy editing stuff. But let's take a look at the HP stuff. So we have laptops, and now this is where I go kind of nutty. Where am I going to go with the laptop? So the Spectre. So what I would end up doing here is come over here. I'm going to go hide filters, show filters, and let's take a look. So I'm not going to mess with the size. I'm not going to mess with any of this. What I'm going to end up doing, let's move me out of the way. I prefer Intel. And then let's see. There we go. Let's hide the filters. We have 30 results. And let's see. I'll just go by HP recommends. Let's see what the sizes and the specs are here. So Windows 11 is kind of the same. We're looking at i7. So I want, when I'm looking at a laptop for a PC, I'm looking for the Core, I'm looking for the i9. i7s are okay. i5s, no. Don't touch an i5 for doing Photoshop stuff. You want an i9. i7 I can get away with. And this is personal preferences. Like, again, everything is budget. Now, if I'm out of your budget, you can say, yo, Ty, you're crazy. Why are you spending this much money? But a lot of times I've planned and I've organized and I've saved. So everything here seems to be an i7, Ultra 7, i5. There we go. I don't even know. 13th gen Core i7. So let's go back over here. So I hit recommends. Let's go high to low, and let's see if we can pull the i9s out. So we got i7. Here we go, i9. Oh, we're going to start at $2,100. Okay, so So NVIDIA, this is really good stuff. I use the GeForces, and the 490 is a very good graphics card. So this is also 36. What's it got? 5.4, 36 threads. Let's take a look. This says 12 gigabytes. 16 gigabyte RAM, DDR5. So i7. I'm just seeing everything is i7. And maybe I can go with, that's a 16-inch, and this is a 17-inch. So this is big. This sucker is huge compared to what we're looking at on a Max. But let's take, and that's 25, and that's on sale. And I don't think they had a filter for your processor, did they? They didn't. So they just have the processor. Oh, that's it. Ready to ship. So they're not giving you options here. So let's take a look here. So they have the Omen laptop, 17 inches. So I want to try to get something that's comparable to, let's go 14 inch. And we're going to have to go 14 inch. That's 1349. Let's see what we have here with the HPs. So let's see if we can see similar products. Let's see what else we can add. So, and I didn't talk about warranties. I mean, warranty, always buy the warranty. We're going to compare. Is it going to let me customize it? I'm looking. That's 16 gigs. I don't think it's going to let me customize it. Special offers. Nope. Of course, they want to talk to me. And these are all the specs. Maybe I just need to go back up and hit customizable. Maybe it doesn't say customizable. Maybe it doesn't have that customizable ability. There we go. Come on. Go back here. There we go. So this is the i7 that we were looking at. And it says customizable. I missed the button. Okay, so let's see what we can do. So do we need to add Pro? I don't think we do. Get rid of this guy over here. And let's see. We got the i7. So 16 core, ARC graphic. And here we go. This is getting into the NVIDIA 450. So that's a 450 GPU, 32 on board. So this has a 32 on board. So that's going to change that price a little bit. And then we're going to look at our display, edge-to-edge glass, edge-to-edge Fortnite. So that's the 500 is not that much of a difference here. Storage, like I said, we want to try to keep it 1 terabyte. Well, they're going to throw in the, I'm not going to, because I didn't throw in the other stuff. So tech support. So that's going to be different. So I'm going to do no office software. I suggest that, I'm a Microsoft person, but if you don't have Microsoft subscriptions, don't buy Microsoft. You can also do the Adobe trial, Creative Cloud photography plan. That might save you money. I don't know. I buy the annual plan, security software. I'm not going to add any of that. External DVD. I don't even know who does DVDs anymore. HDMI, so we don't need those. We need those. Okay, so let's take a look here. So we're at 1629, and we're at our 32 gig RAM. So we have that spec that we're looking for. So, okay, so here we go. So HP, we're looking at 1629.99 compared to a Mac, which is at $18.99. Or you could go high grade with the MacBook Pro and be at $26.19. Now, again, it is up to you on, again, your budget and what you want to do. Now, if I was making the choices here and I needed to buy a computer tomorrow because my computer broke down and I only had a certain amount of money, then I would definitely look at that HP because, from what I've seen from HP products lately is they are really good. And I just have to keep the mindset that after 2 years, I'm thinking about, hey, I need to replace this. MacBook Air I've used, but I'm not as familiar with that. But I have a feeling that with this setup here, this is going to be good for 3 years. And this one right here with this setup is going to be good for 3, maybe 3.5. But over time, I'm pushing a little bit more in that. Now, you can go crazy here, but you don't need to. So we're just talking basic computing. So we're looking at what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So these are just my recommendations. I mean, we can also pull up a Dell. I'm not a like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Dell lately. Lately, Dell hasn't really done anything that's super exciting. Let's see if you. It's now when I did have a Dell, and I think the reason I stopped using Dells is because I did have an XPS. This is supposed to be a really good computer, and it just crudded on me. So I'm going to look at performance because I'm going to look at. I don't buy gaming computers, so I'm going to look at the XPS. I hate how they do that. Sometimes I'm only going to look at that. I want to see the i9. Here we go. This one lets me look at the i9 right away. And let's see what the i9 here. So this starts at $16.99. So let's customize it. So let's see what we can do. So this already has an Intel Ultra 7 processor. So we're already starting out really nice. So 16 cores, 4.8 gigahertz, very nice. Ultra 9 processor, 185. I don't think that's worth that $1,500 or $1,100. So I'm not looking to upgrade that. Operating systems, again, I'm going to stay with Windows Home. If I need to upgrade to Pro, I'll definitely do it later. But I don't see a reason why a photographer needs to pump it up to Pro. Now, here's where I would spend the money. Now, the 450 is a great graphics card, but see here, I'm looking at 16 gigs. And this has the DDR6, which is a really good RAM set, but the GeForce 460, 400. So if I'm going to go with the 450 and add 300, it might as well go here. I'm not going to go here. That's just too much. I mean, it is a good processor and it's a little bit more updated, but it's not $400 worth. Okay, so how much memory is? Can't even speak. How much memory is right for you? So we're going to stick with 3200 gig or 32 gig RAM. We don't need. I mean, we're talking for this. We're not looking at too much more. We're looking at the 1 terabyte, and we're also display again. No touch, anti-glare. So Infinity Edge. I'm not going to pay extra $300 for that. Platinum or graphite. That's your choice. Platinum. Backlit English keyboard, no cost with fingerprint reader. Both of them have that. I don't really know the difference. And then no InPro. So this is Technology Essentials Management. I'm not going to mess with that. So we are, right here, if we're looking at our specs, we are running at the 16 cores, 4.8 gigahertz. We're NVIDIA 460, which is 8 gigabyte RAM, which is great onboard RAM for your video card, and also your display. Now, this is a little bit bigger, 16.3. It's going to give you a little bit bigger, but also remember the color quality is not the same as what a Mac would be. So, but it's still really good color quality. I wouldn't have to worry about that. I have 32 gig RAM. I have 1 terabyte storage. So all of these computers have about the same thing. Let's take a look at the price. I put myself up here. I'm going to bring it down here. And so we're looking at $23.99, and let's see, today's Monday, so I could have it here by Wednesday. So that's a pretty quick build. So $23.99 for that compared to the $16.29. Now these specs aren't the same, but we're also running close with this one. $16.29, and there's a couple big differences here. We're looking at $18.99 here. So, this has a little bit more oomph than the MacBook Air. So if I was looking at Dell, then I might spend that $2,300. But look at this. We're looking at this. It's 32 gig. This is almost almost running at the same speed as that MacBook, and it's about $300 less. About 250. Let me do the math. About 200 and some. So it's not really. I mean, they're pretty comparable. So you can look at those and just make those decisions. But when you go to make that purchase, the whole reason I did this video, so you can see the differences on not just the price, but also the quality of what you're building out. So you're looking for some very specific numbers. Now, you can get super, super techie. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of really techie people talking about, oh, okay, Ty, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But you know what? I'm a photographer. I'm not a computer major. I don't live on computers. I just know what works for me, what I like. And I know that there's certain numbers that I'm looking for. Now, can I overdo things? Yes. Can I underdo things? Yes. But the big thing to remember is when you're going to build out your computer, you want to build out in your price range, what quality and what speeds are you looking for? So if you're able to build something out and say, hey, you know what, I've saved up $2,000, this is what I'm going to buy, and then just build out something, and that's within your budget. And if your budget is $2,400 and you're happy with a Dell, nobody's going to make fault of you because you're working within the system that you're working with. My caution is just focus on the RAM and make sure that you're running a minimum of 16 gig RAM and you're not shorting yourself there because when it goes to processing, it's going to really slow you down. In my opinion, also that, the MacBook Air, even though it has 24 gig RAM, it's because the way the operating system works, it's almost comparable to a 32 gig RAM on a PC. So this is just my opinion, and this is what I would look for, and this is how I do things. But by far, you saw how much earlier I showed you what I invested into my computer and how I put it together. And I have very specific reasons why I did that because of what I'm doing. And so that is very important to me. Whereas if you're just doing the photographs, then these are really the basic things that you just need to have. So if you have any questions, definitely type a question in. Check out our training and educational series at snaplenz.com. And as we do and add more things, I'm sure things are going to change. I'm going to keep the comments open. I know the computer guys, I have so many friends that are computer guys that are just going to smash me for my opinion. But you know what? I love having an opinion and I love being able to have great conversations. But again, budget and performance is what you're looking for. You don't have to go too deep into the weeds because most of us are just average people looking to get a job done and doing it without a lot of stress. And these are the specs that I've discovered that work for me, and I think that'll work for the average photographer or for most people doing photography and creative work. All right, again, I am Ty Schwartz with SnapLenz, and I hope you enjoy your day, and hopefully this helped you out a little bit. And if you have any questions, please drop a question in. I will try to answer as best as I can, or I will look it up and I will get back to you. Okay, you have a great day.